Blessings and namaste. Deanna here with you today. It is November 13th. We are just this side of the 11:11 portal. We are just this side of the Taurus full moon. And this has been divinely inspired for me to come on and share about Chiron in Aries. I'm an awakened empath. I am not an astrologer. However, my spiritual awakening created this openness in perspective to see the larger picture and the realization that we are all connected here in the human experience, but also the divine, the cosmos, God creator that created all things. So the Chiron in Aries, to me, Chiron is the planet, the wounded healer. But for a long time, these people are the ones that have the greatest advice for everybody else. They're very compassionate. They're very able to see the interconnected weave of maybe not people expressing their wounds, but intuitively picking up on the wounds. But the thing with Chiron in Aries generation, if you were born from 1968 through 1977, you have Chiron in Aries. Where this specifically hits your chart and which house will be a huge opening to awareness to the key. Chiron is shaped like a key, no coincidence, because through our awareness of cultural stipulations on these people born from 68 to 77, the transition from a time where it was kind of a rough go of it for things. A lot of mothers started working outside of the home. People with Chiron and Aries in their birth chart had to deal with personal injuries, both physical and psychological. A lot of oppression throughout this time. And yet these people are not the typical victim. Others may not even be able to tell that these people have deep injuries. And so right now, starting of, I do believe, March of 2018, we are now back in the Chiron in Aries. So, the wounded healer's rising. What is Aries symbolic of? Self. First sign of the zodiac, self. Uno, most important. So we're coming from this huge perspective of we were kind of told to just suck it up and move on, and a lot of us did this on an autopilot, for so long. And what we're really seeing now is this pause of stop, wait a minute, no more oppressing your internal wounds, hurts, resentments, any of the wounds that you've accumulated either this lifetime or prior lifetimes. To stop and pause and go, wait a minute, how is your self-worth? How is your self-love? How is your self-care? We kind of typically have been a generation where we were putting everybody else first before ourselves. And so with this rise of these wounded healers, we're really in a time that's very intense and doing a lot of inner work. And it's very significant. I just want to read this to you because I thought it was quite beautiful to put in here as a little bit of inspiration. The measure of a man's character is not what he gets from his ancestors, but what he leaves to his descendants. So the measure of a man's character. So this is a stopping, drawing a line in the sand. I am a lineage holder. I will not carry forward any of these unhealed wounds, whether it be family, cultural, within yourself. I will not carry these wounds forward into my journey. I'm going to release them. I'm going to do a lot of inner reflection. I'm going to be really real and raw with my feelings, the hurts and wounds that I've suppressed or were oppressed, so that I can rise in my wholeness of what I am, whole and complete as a divine sovereign being, to leave the legacy behind for the children, for those that we've come in contact with and have an impact. I mean, everybody has an impact on people. So the wounded healer, and I find it so awesome that Chiron symbol is a key, because the key to leaving behind a legacy to our descendants is, I will not carry the torch of all these unhealed wounds that possibly were passed on from generation to generation. I'm now realizing that my ever connection with the divine, with the Great Spirit, with all that is, nothing separates us. I will not carry forward the torch of wounds. I will not project these on the people that I encounter. I will not project these on to my children. And so I think it's a really huge thing that the Chiron in Aries is so very significant. And if we just all got our birth natal charts at birth, I say this all the time, if they would give us our birth natal chart instead of a social security card, the birth natal chart is a compass for your soul. It shows us things that we can heal and work on to evolve as a soul. It shows us things that we've lived in the past. It creates synchronicity with what the support is above is as below. And so it's a really beautiful thing when we realize that it can be utilized to benefit our evolution. I'm going to read a little bit more about this Chiron in Aries because it's so very significant. Chiron, the wounded healer, Aries, representative self. It's important for us to hold ourselves accountable and unpack our wounds. No overlooking them, no snuffing our emotions, really getting in our heart center. As difficult as it is to face these wounds, to really just go surrender to what it is, keep releasing it. I know I had a huge release within me last night with the full moon. And so a little bit more about the rise of the wounded healer, the rise of the divine feminine, the rise of the wounded healers, these sensitive souls from 1968 through 1977 have Chiron in Aries, and that's why it's so significant. And we're seeing people from this generational thing really just either they're going to choose to ignore it and keep going on the same path and pass this on to their children, or they're going to be the matriarchs that change it and go, this ends with me. These patterns aren't healthy. It is me holding myself accountable to heal these wounds so that I don't pass this legacy on to those I come in contact with or the children that I bear. So this is the first batch of children born to mothers that were increasingly not at home. Many of these children were supervised by television, and they were programmed by these televisions that were in their home. Cultural differences, immigration status, race, home address, all sources of debate between the people, the parents, whoever raised you. This time between 68 and 77, where children born during that era heard a lot of trash talking and arguing, comparison against thy neighbor, creating this false foundation of social status, income, monetary things are what made you who you are, and it was the furthest from the truth. The Chiron and Aries generations learned quickly to get up and carry on. A lot of us were oppressed of our true feelings and emotions. We didn't know we were born into a program that was like, suck it up, move on. And at the demise of a lot of empaths and way showers, we've been suppressing these for so long. But with Chiron going back into Aries in March of last year, 2018, I'm sure you can look at your life and go, whoa, yeah, you're right. I've been reflecting. My inner dialogue is there's two things. You're going to either step forward and change this lineage for the descendants, or you're going to choose probably escapism, brushing it under the rug, a lot of enabling behavior that's not healthy. The importance is that we hold ourselves accountable and do the hard work so that we're not passing this on, because we're creating a world through our children of this suppression, oppression, of not being their true authentic selves. And that's really what this planet needs, a more love, heart-centered space. So the Chiron and Aries generation from 68 through 77 appeared to be these tough as nails type people. They were forged into the fire. They grew up in school, in the school of hard knocks. I remember as a child, a lot of bullying, a lot of oppression and suppression. Whether they were born wealthy or not, they grew up in an era that was not very kind to children. If you are one of those, you've made it this far. Pat yourself on the back. You deserve it. So we're coming out of this really dark time of oppression and suppression, and it started being shown to us, if you're open to it, in March of 2018. That's why it's been so very intense for a lot of us born through this time period. Chiron and Aries people don't have to experience the same problem more than once to learn from it. That's another thing that stands us apart from other generations of the suppression and the oppression, is if we've flubbed up, to err is to be human. And a lot of times these Chiron and Aries folks would mess up and then learn from it and not do it again. And maybe inner dialogue of judging yourself or judging others. And that's okay. To err is to be human. But our true divine selves are whole, healthy. So we're really being asked with this transit of Chiron and Aries to release all these patterns and change the forward motion of a heart-centered, very throat chakra, speaking from a truth-centered place and not enabling any more of the oppression and suppression. So, let me repeat this. Chiron and Aries people don't have to experience the same problem more than once to learn from it. If you've ever had the chance, try to get to know a Chiron and Aries person to talk about their past injuries. There's a huge thing when we can discuss openly in a trustworthy space, I remember feeling this way. It didn't feel right with me. So that kind of is a wound that I can release. Very expressive, and it's so very important, and it's kind of ironic, like we were oppressed, but the throat chakra was very important for us to be in our authenticity. It will not be easy since they so quickly move on from their pain, but we really didn't, right? We were just on autopilot, suppressing it until now. But if you can get them to talk about it, be sure to listen. You may learn some wonderful lessons. Listening to their experiences can help you heal your own pain. There's a huge thing that I repeat often, which is we cannot heal until we feel heard. And so having very gifting relationships and intimacy and transparency is key to our healing, guys. You'll be very surprised at how the same person who told you to suck it up can actually be the one to help you see through tough times. People with Chiron and Aries radiate enough healing energy to touch those around them. Actually, Chiron and Aries doesn't just heal, but it can regenerate and revive. So we are very much so a transformative generation. We're at the threshold in the wave of this new collective consciousness being in more of a heart-centered space. Chiron will be the place where you'll experience the Chiron energy the most. As with any planet, the energy will be felt especially strong if it's on your ascendant. So wherever Chiron is in your chart, this is going to impact everybody from 68, or this is resonance for, through 77. But if you're listening in today and you're not born into that, really pause on this and go, wow, I'm going to dig into see where mine's at, see what the symbolism is for my soul's evolution, because the wounded healer for so long put everybody else first. And with it being Aries generation from 68 to 77, we are now being guided, directed, and also the availability for us to heal, to leave a legacy behind to our descendants and not pass the torch on to our descendants. We don't have to be at the demise of any of the wounds that our ancestors did not hold their energy accountable for. Chiron is a sort of a cosmic contradiction, considering it's both our childhood wound and our biggest superpower. And for me, when it becomes our biggest superpower is where, starting in March of 2018, I believe it's retrograde right now too, so it's really pausing. I think, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me, that Chiron is in that retrograde, slowed down symbolic motion right now through December 12th. So you could have a lot of things coming up within you that are causing you to be weepy. Possible mood shifts as we're releasing these emotions. They're deep. And so just keep that in your awareness. Interestingly enough, Chiron looks like a key, because to me that was like blow my doors. You're right. The key to this becoming our wounds, becoming our superpower, is to have the awareness of going, wow, I really wasn't okay all my childhood. Wow, I really didn't resonate with what was going on around me. That wasn't me being in my authenticity. That was oppression, and I suppressed it for so very long. And now I'm going to heal this and release this, and then let it be a transformation within you. The key, symbolic to, it is no longer at the demise of my energy field, my emotions. I'm going to use this to pay it forward to not only myself, but to others. And I feel like that's a huge passion of mine. And so find out where Chiron is in your chart, your natal chart. If you don't have one, I highly suggest one. It's a beautiful compass for your soul. I always say it's not to be looked at as a predictive. It's like a rudder on our vessel. God created the universe. We are co-creators ourselves. There's always a support system in the cosmos for us here in the earth plane, living this human experience. And I really find it key to, like this book says, so that we leave a legacy behind to our descendants that's way different than what our ancestors didn't want to hold their energy accountable for. So I'm going to do a chakra oracle for this. I hope you enjoyed this. If you're new to my channel, thanks so much for being here. Even if you were not born between 1968 and 77, take whatever resonates from this within you today. Have you buried any of your hurts, wounds, and how can you walk forward into your authenticity to leave behind a legacy of a healed, whole person who's learned from their mistakes, who's learned their healthy boundaries with self, and really holding yourself accountable. The beautifulness is that we anchor a light and we impact everybody around us. So it's very, very important for us to hold ourselves accountable with this. If you're a returning listener, thank you so much for your support. When I started this channel, I was like, if I could just reach and help one person through my clear communication now from a more heart-centered place, then I'm doing what my passion is. I'm up to 56 subscribers today, so I'm beyond blessed with that. I hope that it touches your heart and soul. I hope this channel leaves you feeling more encouraged, more in touch with your divinity, of who you truly are as a sovereign being, of God, creator, source, sparks of. And so with that, We'll do an oracle from the Chakra Healing Oracle. I fill up with the utmost divine Christed white light. I just ask for a message that anybody, already got it, can take forward on their healing journey, to be in their authenticity, to know their worth. Self-worth is coming up huge for everybody. This is the sacral chakra. This is your passions. This is you allowing yourself to come into the fruition and the passion that's within you, to take that forward and not carry with you any of the wounds from past lives, from your childhood, to not let that make you bitter, to not pass that forward into the descendants that we impact. If you don't have children of your own, it's anybody that we can come in contact with. We have an impact. Really be kind and gentle with yourself. We are in intense times, and it's a huge thing for everybody to hold themselves accountable. And by enabling behavior that's not of love and compassion, we are creating the same cycles over and over. I really encourage you not to do that, because we don't want to pass this on to our children. We don't want the world to continue on the way it has been. So the inspiration: you are correct to feel passionate about your position. Follow your instincts, for you know intuitively what is right for you. Your personal inquiry about this card is: are my daily actions supporting my real passions? What am I willing to stand for? If you don't stand for something in your heart, you'll fall for anything. Following your passion, being authentic, taking a stand for yourself. Huge with Chiron and Aries, guys. We were groomed into everybody else first. You were last, and that's not supported anymore. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Are you feeling ostracized by your family lineage? Are you emotionally centered? This is a strong feminine energy. It is asking you to be brave, to be royal, to be passionate. Have you felt ostracized? Are you now taking a stand in your authenticity by not allowing projections, wounds onto how you think, how you feel? Ask yourself this: what is your greatest strength? What is your greatest passion? Do not settle. Do not allow anybody else to tell you how you feel. It's very important for you empaths to walk in your authenticity. Have a clear throat chakra, and if you have to be careful of what you're voicing around people, they are not your people. We're going into a time with the North Node in Cancer of restructuring these family units and what family means to us from a heart-centered space. Do yourself a favor for yourself and your children. Walk in your authenticity. No more enabling. I send this to you with so much love, many blessings. Thank you for being here with me. Namaste.